Cubs win 3-1 in yesterday's game against the 7-0 Padres. Yes, 7-0 Padres. The Padres had been piping hot, so it was a big win against them. Excuse me. It was the home opener yesterday, which makes everything more exciting, and that win mean not really anything more than what it is, but it feels like it's more of a special win. In my opinion, I love the home opener. It's one of my favorite times of the year, like I said in previous episodes. But the Cubs improved their record to 6-4 on the season, taking first place back in the NL Central. That first place Central spot is going to stay for the Cubs. I really believe it. I don't think the Cubs are going to give it up that much this year. Watch out for those Brewers. The Brewers are on a 4-game winning streak, improving their record to 4-4 on the season after starting off 0-4. So those pesky Brewers are right on our tail. So the Cubs really have to, lace their freaking bootstraps up, tighten their belt buckle, because we have a tough schedule for the remainder of this month, like we talked about. We have the Padres 6 times. We have the Dodgers 5 times. We have the Phillies. We have Texas. So the Cubs are definitely going to have to continue this pace of baseball and play good baseball. But Shota dazzled in yesterday's game, 7 1/3 innings, 4 Ks, 1.23 ERA, .55 WHIP, and a quality start that everyone looks for, including myself. So Shota has been nothing but excellent for the Cubs, and I really hope this pace keeps up, because he's such a blessing. I don't know where the Cubs would be without him right now. Shota every fifth day, on the mound for the Cubs. I believe the record throughout his career with the Cubs is like 24-7. So the Cubs clearly win his ball games, and that's a very important factor throughout the duration of the season. To go out there on the mound every fifth day and almost guarantee a win at this point every time he's out there is absolutely huge to a team that has playoff hopes. Simple as that. But with that being said, welcome back to another episode of the Cubby Perspective. My name is Andrew, and I'm very excited to be here and get this episode/podcast going with you guys. Yes, things are looking really well for the Chicago Cubs right now. The pitching has been excellent. The hitting has been very good. But is there trouble brewing in center field for the Chicago Cubs? PCA everyone knows PCA is all the talent in the world. He has that aura around him where he has the capabilities of being a superstar someday. But is his bat becoming an issue in this Cubs lineup? Yes, the Cubs are a top-heavy lineup to where, they can make up for a lot of loss down below with Tucker, Suzuki, Happ, and Bush and all that. But at some point, the Cubs are going to need to see PCA turn the corner with his bat, and I get it. It really is early on in the season, and no one wants to press that alarm button just yet. But the Cubs are going to have to see PCA start hitting well if the Cubs want to go deep in this year. It's a team effort, and yeah. With all that being said about PCA's bat, PCA does bring a lot to the table outside of his bat. He's an elite defender. He's probably the best defensive outfielder in baseball at such an early age. He's absolutely electric. He definitely plugs those holes in the left center and right center gap to where, more times or so, what should be a base hit ends up being a catch, because PCA covers so much range and he's so much value in center field for the Cubs. And not only his defense, but PCA is electric on the base paths. He wreaks havoc on the base paths. He's a pitcher's worst nightmare when he's on. The kid's really fast. Like I said, really good defender. So he does bring a lot to the table. All right, so let's talk about PCA's scouting grades. We previously discussed PCA's scouting grades earlier on. And let's just do it again because they're important and they do end up meaning a lot down the line. They are fairly accurate. But all these scouting grades, they max out at 80 overall score. An 80 overall score is pretty electric, and the way that a hitter gets graded is by hit, power, run, arm, and field. So that's their overall grading report. Each individual stat gets a grade, and the highest you can go is 80. I believe the lowest you can go is 20. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 20. I've never seen, a 20 graded score, so, whatever. But PCA's hit is 55. 55, I'd say, is pretty average. I think that's slightly above average, right? But overall, it falls in the parameters of like an average hitter at best, in my opinion. You have power 50. PCA has all the talent in the world, and he has showed some slugging last year's. So the power could be true. PCA could very well hit for more power down the line as his bat develops. Run is 70. Run is a very high graded on PCA 70 anytime. Anytime you get a 70 grade on anything, that means you fall into that elite category within that stat. So yes, PCA is an absolute elite runner. He steals bases. He wreaks havoc on those base paths, like I already said. His arm is 55. Not the best arm, but PCA definitely makes up for that arm with his overall field grade, which is an 80. PCA closes those gaps. They really don't even exist with him in there. That's how fast and how much ground he covers. So PCA obviously is an elite defender. Anytime you have an 80 grade in something, I want to reiterate this, an 80 grade in something, that means you are top of the line at your craft, at what you do. So PCA is definitely a glove first type of player, and his bat needs to develop. His bat needs to follow suit, basically. All right, so let's just say if PCA's bat never turns the corner and PCA's bat never comes around in Wrigley and he doesn't hit up to his capabilities and what we expect him to hit, maybe we could start talking about some external options other than PCA in center field, which definitely pains me to say because I'm rooting for the kid. I want him to do really well with the Cubs for a long time. But the Cubs do have a great problem to have that a lot of teams don't, and that's quality depth. Simple as that. The Cubs have a lot of depth in their minor league systems, a lot of highly talented, touted prospects waiting for their time that are gridlocked currently. By the Cubs roster. Obviously, we talked about that before. You have Tucker, who's expected, well, who we hope is going to re-sign. But this year, at least, he's a block in right field for Casey or Alcantara. We have PCA in center field right now. He's going to take up majority of that playing time this year. We have Ian Happ in left field, who signed an extension. Bush, Horner, Swanson, Shaw, Miguel Amaya. So everywhere on the diamond right now is currently locked, and there's not a lot of room for these players such as Kevin Alcantara, Owen Casey, Moises Ballesteros, James Triantos, Jeff Rojas, Christian Franklin, et cetera, to really get their shot in Wrigley. But I think it's time to start talking about possibly some other options other than PCA in center field. And starting off with our best outfielder in the minor league system at the moment, Owen Casey. We got Owen Casey, I believe, in the Yu Darvish trade back in 2021. So Owen Casey has been a work in progress and truly has developed into one of those better outfielding prospects in baseball. Owen Casey, his hit grade is 45, which isn't, that's typically not, typically you want to see that higher, really. But his power is 65. Owen Casey has extreme raw power and could drive the ball to any fields. He hits lefties and righties equally good, which is a great sign for a young prospect. That's what you want to see out of anyone in baseball, really, and so many people struggle to do that. So Owen Casey's power definitely is legit. He's an easy 30 homer threat in Major League Baseball if his bat truly develops. He's not a fast player. His run is graded at 40, so don't expect Owen Casey to really wreak havoc on those base paths the way PCA does and steal those bags. But he makes up for it with his bat to where he will hit a lot of bombs in Wrigley and other ballparks. His arm is 60. His arm is pretty solid. He does have a cannon, and he could throw runners out if needed to. His field is 50, not the best. Obviously, the Cubs would be taking a dip in defensive capabilities and metrics if Owen Casey were to play the outfield. But his bat overall is a more polished bat, and that's primarily what the Cubs need. The Cubs have two good defenders in Ian Happ and Kyle Tucker in right field that could definitely help out Owen Casey and alleviate some of the stress. But yeah, Owen Casey is a bat type player first, and I'm very excited to see what he's capable of doing on a major league team because I'm really high on this kid. Some of the scouts said that Owen Casey has huge raw power with plus bat speed. Plus, everyone knows that plus bat speed leads to more power and drive the ball more. And and exit velocity and all that stuff is very important nowadays. He's an aggressive hitter, and like I said, who hits lefties and righties equally well. He has a 29% K rate, which is kind of high. You want to see that, lower definitely, but he does follow that up with a good 14% walk rate, which is above league norm. So that's where he kind of makes up for that, or excuse me, makes up for those strikeouts really. But like I said, 29% strikeout is definitely a work in progress. Owen Casey, I would imagine, will lower that at some point throughout the year with, good coaching and developing and just the players around him. So look for that 29% strikeout rate to definitely go down. But Owen Casey is definitely a premier prospect in the Cubs system. Many teams would love to have him. Many teams try to trade for Owen Casey already, and the Cubs clearly are not willing to part ways with him for a specific reason. I personally think they're holding out to see what Kyle Tucker does. If they could re-sign Kyle Tucker, I think you are going to see a guy like Owen Casey leave Chicago in some, major trade for some pitcher or somewhere down the line. But I do really want to see Owen Casey someday in Chicago, and that kind of sucks because everywhere on our major league roster right now is gridlocked. And I just really think that this kid deserves a shot on the team. I think he can make a lot of noise. So look out for Owen Casey, and I'll definitely provide you guys updates with Owen Casey updates. And that's a name to learn for sure. So if you don't know his name, now you do. Owen Casey. Next external option outside of PCA, if PCA, like I said, reiterate, if PCA's bat never develops, is going to be the Jaguar Kevin Alcantara. Kevin Alcantara we got in the Anthony Rizzo trade. That hits home. Everyone loved Rizzo. We want to see Rizzo be a lifelong Cub, but things didn't work out the way it did. So we got back in return Kevin Alcantara, who's definitely a highly touted prospect. He is on the top 100 list. I believe he's top 50. I don't know his exact range or area, but he is, I believe, in the top 50. And anytime you're in the top 50 in the top 100, that means you're in pretty good company. That means you're a pretty good prospect with a high floor, high ceiling. So Kevin Alcantara definitely is one of those prospects where you definitely have to watch out for it because the kid is all the talent in the world, just like Owen Casey and PCA and all them, and Matt Shaw. Some Kevin Alcantara's scouting grades hit 50, whatever. Power 55, run 55, arm 55, field 55, overall 55. So, nothing really stands out to me about Kevin Alcantara other than he does everything pretty well. He does everything fairly well. He's an all-around player. All aspects of the game. He could potentially hit for a high average. He could potentially hit for 30 homers a year. He could draw a walk. He limits his strikeouts. He plays a good outfield. So Kevin Alcantara is all around a pretty decent player in every sort of category in baseball. And that's something that you want to see out of players. You want to see players be more well-rounded nowadays instead of, what we're seeing with such a one-dimensional players. He's not going to go out there and hit 45 homers, obviously, but he is going to run the base paths well. He is going to play some decent defense. He is going to hit the ball. He has, I believe, one of the highest exit velocities in minor league baseball at the moment, which is huge. That just translates into power down the line. Look out for the Jaguar. I don't know who gave him that nickname, but it's pretty badass in my opinion. Kevin Alcantara, the Jaguar. Look out for him, barring any injuries to PCA or anyone in the outfield, really. Or if PCA's bat never comes around, really. So I think Owen Casey and Kevin Alcantara are the two players who you could see roaming center field. Maybe not Owen Casey. I don't think Owen Casey's a center fielder. So, the Cubs are going to have to kind of tweak the outfield, sort of, if that happens. But, look out for Owen Casey and Kevin Alcantara to be in Wrigley some point this year. I really expect a lot of things out of those kids. They have a lot of talent, and I'm very excited to see what they could do. But some of the scouts, what they said about Kevin Alcantara is he comes with plenty of bat speed and produces impressive exit velocities. Like I said, exit velocity turns into power. That's raw power. I can't talk right now. I'm so sorry. He has at least a 30 homer upside and can drive the ball out of any ballpark to all fields, which is important. You don't just want to be a simple pull hitter. You want to be a well-rounded hitter that can hit to every single part of the field, gaps, lines, anywhere. So that's something he does really well. Some downfalls about Kevin Alcantara is that he chases too many pitches out of the zone, and he struggles to do damage against non-fastballs. So he struggles to do pitches against sliders, curveballs, changeups, cutters, etc. Look out, and Kevin Alcantara really is a young player. He's a young stud player. So that is just going to get better with time. I'm sure the Cubs are working with him day and night to learn how to hit those curveballs and sliders. So I really wouldn't be worried about that. But that is something to be kind of alarmed about somewhat as of right now. Anytime you have a player that chases too many pitches out of the strike zone, that's going to lead to a bunch of unnecessary strikeouts and dire situations. A player like that a player of that nature reminds me of Javier Baez. Javier Baez had a short stint where he was an elite player, where he was really hitting the ball well, and then you saw Baez kind of fall off a cliff because he has no sort of awareness of the strike zone, which leads to pitchers throwing him sliders low and away outside, outside the strike zone where he has no chance at hitting it. So Kevin Alcantara will have to improve his game in that area, but I've full faith and confidence that he does. He's still really young. He's still a work in progress, but look for him in Wrigley someday. Absolutely. Um, yeah, things are looking up for us. All right, moving on. So we have upcoming game against the San Diego Padres again at 1:20 at Wrigley Field, home opener series. We have Nick Pivetta against Matthew Boyd. Look out for a nice pitching duel today. We'll see how those two do. But my picks to click in this game, number one is going to be Kyle Tucker. Look, I'm going to be picking Kyle Tucker throughout the entire year. He's one of the best players in baseballs, so I think that warrants me picking him for my picks to click day in and day out. So just get used to it. I probably don't even have to pick Tucker anymore because you guys already know how I feel about him. But Kyle Tucker is my number one pick to click. He hasn't really hit the ball the last two games. He has drawn his walks. He has stolen his bags and stuff like that. He has gotten on, but he hasn't really been driving the ball the last two games, like how we saw him in the Athletic series in Sacramento. But Kyle Tucker is my number one pick. My number two pick, if I had to say so, I think Ian Happ is due for a big game today. I think Ian Happ is definitely due. I think you're going to see a home run out of Ian Happ, and overall play a very good game. So my two picks are Tucker and Ian Happ. And if I had to make a decision, I think the Cubs are going to win this game again. I think we're going to keep the chains moving. We're going to keep the ball moving. We're going to continue to separate ourselves from the freaking Cardinals and the Brewers in the NL Central. I think the Cubs win today. It's a nail biter. I think 5-4 Cubs win. Presley with another palpitations Presley save. I don't even know what to think about Presley at this point. Every time he's out there, it's like I said, heart palpitations Presley. Last year we had heart attack Hector, and the year before that, I'm sure I can make up something. But the Cubs are definitely going to have to figure out their bullpen at some point. Porter Hodge is looking absolutely incredible to start the season. Porter Hodge last year was absolutely lights out. So maybe you can see Porter Hodge take over that ninth inning role at some point. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm definitely excited. He's a young, promising player with a lot of upside and talent. He's a flamethrower, throws the ball really hard. He knows the strike zone. He can command his pitches, whereas Ryan Presley has to rely on hitters to chase outside the zone to get him because he is older now, and that's always the way he operates. And if you operate in that manner, that means you're going to be in a lot of 3-2 counts, which every at bat feels like Presley works a 3-2 count, which is not good. You want to get ahead of it. You want to get that first pitch strike to really set up yourself throughout the entire rest of that at bat. But rant over about Presley. Fortunately, I guess he still hasn't really blown a game yet. He's 3 for 3 on save opportunities, so I can't be too harsh on him because he is doing his job, but he's just doing his job in a really scary fashion. And but go Cubs. I think the Cubs are going to win 5-4 today. I think Tucker and Ian Happ lead the charge. You're going to see Ian Happ with a homer, I believe so. If you guys do make that bet and you guys do see Ian Happ at that homer, please like and comment. See you guys.